Guys, we got a wild episode today about states' rights. Speaking of states' rights, come see me in Philadelphia, July 10th and 11th, ChristyComedy.com for tickets. And then I'm in Stamford and Portland, Maine. Go to the site.
You can see me in Atlantic City, June 26th, 27th, East Hampton, July 10th, New Brunswick, New Jersey, July 17th and 18th, Philly, August 14th and 15th, and Austin, August 21st, 23rd, Yannis, PappasComedy.com. We got a great episode. But I want to tell you, if you want to be an all-in-one fan, you want to be part of the Cuz community, you want all these episodes ad-free, you want these episodes uncensored, you want our big, beautiful bonus episodes. They're big, beautiful, just like the Big Beautiful Bill. We got big, beautiful bonus episodes every week. Plus, we do our text message series. We do our our true ad reads.
It's real nice, baby.
We got nice content back there. Plus, the fans talk to each other in the chat. They make photos of us. You want to be a part of the community? $5 a month, $10 a month, or if you're a baller, $25 a month. You get double the content, and all it is ad-free, no interruptions over at patreon.com/History Hyena. Do it for yourself, do it for this country, do it for your family, and do it for our families.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of History Hyenas. I'm Chris Stefano, a.k.a. Chrissy D. With me, as always, Yannis Pappas, a.k.a. Yanni PP.
Wait a second. You didn't have something geared up for that?
I didn't have something geared up.
A.k.a. Chrissy D?
I know, because we just got smacked in the face by two Israeli titties. So I'm a little concussed because we had a snoozer of a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/historyhyenas, but make absolutely no mistake, we got smacked in the face by some Jew tits.
What? I'm going to tease it like this for the internet. We find out what happened to Charlie Kirk. Go get patreon.com/historyhyenas to get to the bottom of it.
It's just go over there. I mean, it's one of those things where we're just breathing a sigh of relief that's over. The thing is this, is Jewish people, we love them so much. We love our Jewish brothers and sisters.
We love our Muslim brothers and sisters.
They're very persistent, and I think what's happened is because of my heritage, because of Germany, being from Germany, I think I've just have it in my DNA to be able to somehow evade the Jew, where you cannot, because she tried to come at me to get on the show, and I was able to evade, but then she caught you big.
They just will keep... They're very pushy. She said, actually, in the Bible, I didn't know that. It says it in the Bible that they're very pushy people.
Right.
Remember she said in the Bible?
Stiff-necked.
Stiff-necked.
Yeah.
And I was like, boy, did someone nail that.
Yeah.
Because I guess stiff-neck, if you translate it from the original Aramaic, probably meant like really fucking annoying.
I do like her. It was a nice time.
Everyone's great.
Everything's great. But
I love everyone in the world. I love that they are who they are. I enjoy it like a comedy. Like I like the different personalities. I love the differences. You got to be into this life for the drama that it is.
Be who you want to be. Yeah. I respect that. Be you, girl. Do it, bitch. Whatever it is.
But the Knicks are in the finals. Things can't be that bad.
The Knicks are in the finals. I had my bachelor party on Saturday,
which I didn't attend because my daughter. It was her birthday. Otherwise, I would have been in attendance.
I mean, it was a good time. It was the perfect bachelor party for me. We went to this place, Lucky Charlie's in Brooklyn. Cause if you want to go to a new spot in Bushwick, Lucky Charlie's, they have a coal oven in there from 1890.
Ooh.
A coal oven that was built. It was built by German immigrants in 1890. It's the biggest coal oven in the Northeast. So it was very fun for me to ask which one of my friends.
Live 14.
Because the oven goes back a full city block. I've never seen an oven as big as this oven. And it's wild because this place is about 10 minutes from where I grew up in Ridgewood, and it got taken over. And I'm telling you, I had one of the best meals I've ever had. They gave us a dope experience in the back of this restaurant. They gave us a private room, but that's also where the chef's apartment is. So the chef was cooking for us on his personal home stove for me and the other 10 guys. We had a magician there. A magician came in and was doing sick card tricks, and we ate and drank, and it was just me and
You
12.
had a magician at your adult party.
Yeah. And we had 12 guys come in, do magic tricks. I mean, we had a magician come in, he did magic tricks for all of us. We ate pizza. The chef gave us all this food, all this Sicilian beer and wine that they made. This guy Nino was amazing at Lucky Charles. Then he threw on the Thunder Spurs Game 7. Ooh. We watched that, and by 11 o'clock, I was on my way home. By 11:45, I was in bed, baby. And I had a great bachelor.
Did Debo get the booster seat?
Debo got the booster seat, and Debo was the only one who stayed because there was a couple of cute guys in the back.
Did you, when you walk in to go to dinner with Debo, do you say like we do with our daughters? You say high chair booster. Do you go for what?
That's what it is.
You got to make a decision.
Yeah, and the thing is with Debo is because a lot of these guys were hungry, and I got one friend who's really fat. The problem is Debo looks like an appetizer. Because I'm telling you, Lucky Charlie's, this place will blow your mind. The food was incredible, and I'm not just
Who picked it?
Emilio.
How did he find it?
He found it. I don't know. He hung out there like a month ago, and he was like, "You're gonna love this place." And I'm telling you, it's the kind of place. Now, listen, it's not too far from my ma, so it'd be nice to go see ma. But it's one of these places that I will find myself going into probably once a month just to eat and hang out. It was it's a like those how we grew up in Brooklyn, Queens, those old school joints. That's what it's like.
Because I want you to take me there.
I'm good.
I want you to take me out.
I want to take you out.
Me there.
I want to take you out. You got to see this oven, and this guy Nino is great. He'll just show you the oven.
Yeah,
he likes to show people the oven.
Yeah, I like.
And then we were in the backyard. They had like a little private backyard back there, and then the magician came in, and the guy and the magician got paid, and he's doing magic tricks, adult magic tricks, whatever. And then the guy Nino has a 3-year-old daughter. He goes, "You got to do some tricks for my daughter."
Right.
And then he goes, the guy's like, "Well, I don't have anything like the kids would understand." He goes, "My daughter's going to sit down. You can do some tricks for her." and it was great. And he was just a fun guy.
It seems like a real fun place.
Yeah.
How are they doing over there at Lucky Charlie's?
Well, they just opened like 10 months ago, but I mean, you got to wait 2 hours for a table.
Oh, they're doing good.
They're doing good. Yeah, scroll down. Yeah, say play this clip. Instagram. Like, just hear this guy's voice. He's a real fucking. You know what I mean?
Fucking cows on. What are you doing? You fucking bothering me? I'm fucking busy over here. I got people waiting fucking 2 hours.
It's from Gravesend.
Asshole. Let me see something. We're gonna make some pizza in a little bit.
Looks really
no,
good.
It's delicious, bro.
Yeah.
Nino.
Is there a line? I have a card.
You got a card? Boom, boom, boom.
We need a History Hyenas table over there.
Yeah, 100%.
Nino, you drink while you work?
Yo, I do it for the juice, kid. That's why I do the whole fucking shebang.
I do it for the juice.
Baby. No,
For the juice?
For the juice.
Oh, the juice.
100% Broccolino, a little Siciliano, a little, how you doing? Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, he made this Sicilian dish. It was like, they almost looked like SpaghettiOs, but it was some kind of pasta. And they had like a baked like top on it, like a pie, and it was just one of the best things I ever had. He makes certain dishes. He's like, you can only get this shit in Sicily.
Right.
It's next level, cuz.
Well,
you missed a good party, but you had to go to your daughter's birthday party.
I was at my daughter's birthday party on Saturday.
You were eating real SpaghettiOs.
I was eating real SpaghettiOs. I'm sorry I missed it, but I think we should take the crew over there for a little bite.
Cuz it's in Bushwick. It's in Bushwick on Irving Avenue, so it'd be nice to go over there. Yeah, because there's
we may just get a studio in Bushwick just to move it so we're closer to this restaurant.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing: is the waitresses are hot.
Yes, and then we're going.
The waitresses are hot, and they all those kind of like hipstery white girls with like little tattoos all over them that probably have fumes, but I'll bang them out anyway.
I like it. Those are the type of girls that give Graham K syphilis, and I like it.
Yeah, does he have syphy?
He's had it a few times.
It's just getting syphilis is very old school. It's very funny to get syphilis.
It's very funny to get syphilis, like Al Capone.
Now and
you got the burn a few times.
Yeah, I got the burn, but I got chlamydia. I never got syphilis.
You got chlamydia.
Yeah, but it's nice to have the bachelor parties to the weddings in about 2-3 weeks, and make absolutely no mistake, I'm still looking for an escape hatch.
I just want to bring this up before we get into this because I'm very curious about it. This tick issue, I believe something's going on. I believe something's going on. I believe we're going to have to start dealing with some of these bioterrorism things. And I believe that it's either vegans doing this or the good old CCP.
Right.
But something is going on where ticks are just everywhere, and now people are getting bit by these Lone Star ticks, and the ticks are giving people this allergy to meat. And so that's why there's a conspiracy theory that this is vegans and animal rights activists doing this.
This is a real thing.
It's a real thing. It's big news. And they're all over the place. And it's just something's unnatural about it. I mean, they are all over the place.
Wow.
So the people have never seen this many ticks across the United States. And they're in places that they didn't used to be to this level.
But what's the allergic reaction to red meat and dairy? What
Something happens where you get some bacteria from them. Because Lyme's is not the only thing you can get from ticks. They carry a bunch of different pantheons.
Yeah,
is that what they call it?
Pathogens. Ticks, they're little fucks.
They're little fucks.
It's what they are.
They're little fucks.
I don't like ticks at all.
I don't like them at fucking all. Calling a guy a tick would be funny. Guy's a fucking tick.
Yeah.
He's a drip and he's a tick.
He's a tick. Yeah, I don't like
Nick the tick.
Yeah, Nick the tick. Ticks are, because now it's like, my daughter had a tick in her head a month ago, and I didn't like it.
It's really
bad. But Jazz got it out.
They're really dangerous. You got to get them out before 24 hours. That's why it's always important to check your kids, because all these diseases take 24 hours. So if you can get the tick off within the 24 hours, you're good.
And you got to your dog. You got to get your dogs. Check your dog for ticks.
Yeah, your dog. Because
ticks will get on your dog.
You give the dog the internal medication. You give him the collar. He should be good. Even if they bite, they die. The thing is, the problem, these nymphs are so small, they're the size of a goddamn poppy seed.
Yeah.
So you can't see these things. So, there's nothing we could do against these things. And this year, supposedly, this is happening so fast, but people are starting to suspect that there's something nefarious going on, like that because there's just so many that it just seems unnatural. It seems like, and there was this one instance where they found a briefcase full of ticks somewhere, Jesse. If you look
Really?
Yeah, they found it's very suspicious stuff going on with these ticks. And so it's like, is this intentionally being done? And I am of the conspiracy that it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that. I don't like seeing ticks. And listen, if there's going to be, here's the thing, because what we want to talk about today is Thomas Jefferson and states' rights. And if this state is not going to get its ticks under control, then I'll move it to another state.
That's right. This is a very interesting topic we're going to talk about today. We're talking about the United States of America and why it is the United States. People often forget that it is the United States of America, meaning each state is kind of like its own country.
Yes.
And ultimately, you have to admit, that's been a good thing because it keeps the balance. You see how hard it is to unite places.
Right.
Europe, it's hard, right? Of course, they got all the different cultures and languages and stuff like that, but the USSR, everyone tries, but the United States, South America couldn't do it. And we had an episode about that. You had a very viral clip on that.
Yeah.
We have theories of why that didn't work.
Yeah.
But in the United States, in the United States, it's worked, and it was because of this fundamental disagreement between Thomas Jefferson and the Federalists, who were Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay.
Yeah,
which became a school where kids would beat you up.
It's just what it is. And so now what you're seeing is because Thomas Jefferson wanted this, he said that having states' rights would create a competitive...
And he wanted to keep his slaves.
It's just what it is.
He had 600 slaves.
He had 600, 700 slaves, and the kid also lived a life of luxury, spent a lot of money. He liked toots and brews.
He liked toots, brews, and he liked slave poos.
But the kid was, Thomas Jefferson, the kid was from the first family of one of Virginia's first families. I mean, the kid was rich.
He was really rich.
He was like a Vanderbilt.
Yes, and he was over in Monticello, and he liked to bang out his slaves big.
Sally Hemings got banged out big.
There's some,
and she was underage.
Big. She was underage. Big.
Yeah,
and there are some progeny walking around who look like Derek Jeter, who are related to Thomas Jefferson, and it's SLOKS.
It's what it is, and he was Jefferson and his allies formed the Democratic Republican Party, which is cute. So you don't know what they were. They're Democrats and Republicans. But the thing that he said was Jefferson. He said that states' rights. You having each state compete with each other is better.
He said my mulatto slave's puss is tight.
It's what it is, and it probably was. Because now what's happening is, all these stories where like everybody's just leave, they say the wealthy are leaving New York to go to Florida, to other southern states. And so Jefferson foresaw this problem. He said, if you don't have states competing with each other, then the wealthy are just going to pick up and leave and your nation's going to begin to crumble. So you start to look at it and say, it makes sense. Like now like we live in theoretically in New York, the way people get taxed, or you live in a different country than if you live in Florida. You just do. Like you can't sugarcoat it anymore. The really wealthy people, like multi-millionaires, it doesn't make any sense for them to live in New York or California. It just doesn't anymore. It makes more sense for them to live in Florida, and they can come to New York. And so that needs to change, because Jefferson was saying, because he was all about states' rights, that the whole idea of if states stay competitive with each other and they all have little advantages and disadvantages, it'll make the national product that much better, where now you're going to just have, it get lopsided and everything's going to go to Florida and New York's going to suffer. And that's going to make our country hurt.
Right. I mean, I think they both had good points. And I think the mix of the two created the greatest country that the world has ever known. Alexander Hamilton and Madison and John Jay were like, you need a strong federal government to become a national powerhouse.
Right.
So they were thinking about the economics. And I think Jefferson was thinking more about like the governance of it, going like, you can't have an overarching ruler over all these local places that are very different.
Right.
And that's going to foster rebellion and things like that. So you got to allow places to rule themselves locally.
Right.
Because people are different, cultures are different, economies are different. And this is the best way to make this work and for everyone to get along. And I think ultimately that's what's happened. People think there's going to be a civil war. People think we're going to break up. It's not going to happen because both these guys have great points. And we live in the compromise of the two of them, right?
Right.
So it's like we would have a civil war if you didn't have options, right? So if you couldn't move to Florida, or if you didn't like abortion laws here, which is a problem, with the Federalists, is when like, with the states' rights is when like you start taking away people's rights and stuff like that.
Right.
There's weaknesses on both sides. But you can move someplace else. You can go,
Right.
I'm going to move here where it's more like what I like.
Right.
And so you need that. You can't just go, hey, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. People are different. People got different cultures. People have different beliefs. And if we're going to make this experiment work, we got to have a balance of both.
We have to have both.
And these slave-owning white men figured it out.
They really did.
They said all men are free except for my slaves.
It's what it is, because they said it was very interesting that Thomas Jefferson, when they were writing, when he was writing the Declaration of Independence, I mean, he was just surrounded by slaves, and he would openly read the document out to his friends. And he's talking about how everyone's free and everyone has rights to be free except the people standing in the corners.
He was one of the authors, and I think he actually penned the line, all men are created equal.
It's what it is.
It's all what it is. He goes, so all men are created equal, and some of them are in my employment for no payment.
Yeah, it's just
against their will.
Against their will, and Sally Hemings getting banged out.
Now, here's the thing, though. James Madison, John Jay, and Alexander Hamilton. See, this is the thing when you hear like these kids now go like, these slave-owning white men, they were against slavery.
Yeah.
I think James Madison only had one and he freed him,
right.
But they were all very against slavery. The other two, John Jay had the fewest, I think.
Right.
And Madison only had like a few, and Alexander Hamilton freed his, but they were all wrote against slavery and they hated it and they didn't want it.
Right.
So it's like, not everyone was the same.
Right.
So these guys wanted to get rid of it, and that was, 100+ years before it happened, or 100 years before it happened. So it's like, people aren't the same.
No.
We're not. We're very different, just like we found out from our guests. We're all different.
Yeah, we're all different, and, we'll say it again, the Patreon is a snoozer. So what you need to do, you could zoom in on them titties, but the Patreon's a snoozer. So we're not going to sugarcoat it. It's a snoozy woozy. And it's the first time in the history of the show where our producer, Nick, yelled at us about it. So, and the thing is,
ironically, he said never again, and I was like, well, that's her people.
That's her people.
Yeah.
And the truth is I had no rebuttal because Nick's right. So, it's one thing if somebody steps out of line and they say, but I said, Nick, I concur, my friend. But I absolutely, if I was single...
Cackle all that.
We'll cackle all that. Yeah, put that. If you scroll down a little bit, Jesse. So, here's the thing about Jefferson is the kid was he was a bit of a conundrum because he's saying, everybody be free except the slaves. And then he also says states' rights. But when it worked for him to expand the federal power, that's what he did. Like, Louisiana Purchase, he was just like, listen.
Yeah.
I know I said everything about states' rights, but I'm just going to get the government galvanized, and we're buying Louisiana.
We're just buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was morally opposed to it in his writings, though.
Yeah, at least.
So it was a
what
complicated
a nice guy.
thing. Yeah, I mean, what a nice guy. But it was a different time. So it was like slavery. It was just, it's what was happening around you.
Right.
So it was like,
why is your phone going off? What is that?
So probably my brother just constantly calling in.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the kid just calls over and over and over and over again, and it's just what it is.
Now, what would your brother do if he saw them titties?
Which one? My oldest one? My oldest brother?
Yeah, I know your oldest brother.
He would just be looking at her outfit.
Your oldest brother.
My middle brother would try to get in there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, he'd try to get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he cheated on his girlfriend.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. And it was a big thing up there.
Yeah.
He caused big problems.
It's what it is.
Yeah, and her family was very mad at him.
It's just what
and
it
he
is.
said, hey, what do you got to do? I got to get this noodle wet.
Yeah, it's just what it is.
This noodle's not going to wet itself.
Cheating on answer. Yeah, that's very funny.
Yeah. So this is an interesting topic because it's happening now. Like, it keeps the country dynamic, so it never gets stagnant. Like you said, there's competition on different policies in different states, and people can vote with their feet, which keeps, it gives people options when they feel like they don't like something.
Vote with the feet, meaning they can move.
Yeah, that's an expression saying people vote with their feet.
Right.
So if, you see like Detroit, right? Like, a lot of people don't know, yes, the auto industry left, but then what happened is it became heavily regulated place, and there was, it became very left-wing, so to speak. I'm just trying to figure out a way to say it, and the city got destroyed. Seattle right now is fucking 35% empty commercial real estate in Seattle. And the new mayor just said, they were like, what do you think about these businesses leaving? She went, bye. And it pissed people off. Mom Dami's doing the same thing. Sometimes, inequality gets too much, and you bring in a little socialism, and that helps. So, you can move. It's dynamic. And that's the thing about capitalism, with all its flaws, is it's dynamic. So is this sort of arrangement of states' rights, is it keeps things dynamic.
Right.
Another place gets hot. I mean, Tennessee's bubbling right now. Nashville's hot. Miami's hot. Austin's hot. Like, different cities that were like not hot have become hot, and New York, unfortunately, is experiencing a massive exodus.
So what can New York do? Can New York all of a sudden, like with states' rights stuff, can New York all of a sudden say, okay, we're going to lower our taxes, or they can't do that?
Well, here's the thing about New York. New York is interesting because New York has New York City. So New York is really about New York City. Right. It's like New York's about the governor of New York, the state. It's like, really, you're the governor. Everyone's the governor of New York City. It's like as important as anything in the country. So it's a very complicated thing because you got a lot of people here. Everyone wants to be here. You have people who are a little more working class, but you also have the richest people here. Right. And we already have the highest taxes, I think, in the country. Yeah. The most progressive tax rate in the country, the highest taxes on rich people. So Mamdami's saying we need to do more of that, even more to fix it. And then people on the other side are going like, they do that over there in Los Angeles. It's not working. It's not. You still have a homeless problem. You still have inequality, and you've raised taxes. It doesn't work. We need to cut spending. And then some people who are say that this doesn't work, you're not going to take my taxes. What they do is they move to North Carolina. North Carolina is popping now. Right. So you don't know. You don't know. Maybe Mamdami will work. It's not going to long term. I can almost guarantee you that. Sure. It's always a short term little, and then long term. Long term, too static. Yeah. So because socialism's too static. And
the thing is, for people that don't know, like Texas and Florida have no state income tax. So California, New York. You make money, whatever tax bracket you're in, you have to basically pay a rental fee to the state of New York for working and living here. That's basically what that is. And Texas and Florida don't have that.
Well, they make it up in sales tax and other taxes, but the net tax burden is much less. Right. In those
That's
places.
The thing. It's like, you could take the numbers and it's like, okay, you have to pay a little bit more taxes for alcohol and food in Florida, but that doesn't equal... think about an income tax for a multi-millionaire. It doesn't equal anything close to that. Right. So, yeah.
What I like about it, too, is it's like there's always rhetoric. There's always people have their positions, But what this system enables is that this cuts through all the rhetoric. People will go, hey, it's good, it's bad. You just go, here's the numbers of the out net migration. Here is the middle credit. You just go, people are voting with their feet. So no matter what you're saying or you're saying on both sides, these are the results. Your tax base is dwindling because you're losing all these middle to upper income people. And so New York City has lost billions and billions of dollars of tax revenue because of the cost of living, and more so, and they poll this, is because of the level of taxes.
Because it's, at the end of the day, what's the universal language? Numbers and math, okay? It's the same, very microcosmic way. It's the same story, with like managers and agents at the entertainment business. You say to yourself, the manager wants to take 10%, and you say, okay, well, I've been with you for 5 years. Here's the amount of money. Here's the amount of money that I've given you. What is the amount of money you've made me? And then when they see the numbers, it's hard to deal with. It's hard to make. It's all you got to do is show the numbers. So the billionaires say, if I go to the other state, I'm gonna keep this much more of my money. Those are the numbers. So I have to, and then people say, well, how could people have so much money? They should spread it around a little bit. It's like, guy, they already do pay billionaires already do pay taxes.
They pay a lot of taxes. Yeah.
The problem that nobody wants to admit is usually if you're mad at somebody else, you know who you're really mad at? Take a look in the mirror. It's you, guy. There's not a problem in this country that you can't figure out for yourself. But when things don't go your way, some people choose to what? Pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And some people don't. Some people want to pull other people's bootstraps and pull them down with them. And that's the truthy wooty, because if you're any other way to sugarcoat it. Guys, a quick message from today's sponsor, the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program.
Yes, I have 2 dogs. You have a dog. We're dog people now.
We are dog people.
Right? So I rubbed off on you, and I made you a dog person. You rubbed off on me, and you made me appreciate Jesus.
It's what it is, cuz. And the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Plan, you can get a $25 Amazon gift card. It's a little treat for you while you're doing something great for your pet when you enroll at the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Plan. I love my pet, and I love that she has health insurance.
You have to have health insurance for your pet. It's relatively cheap. It's worth it to avoid the risk. So to explore coverage, visit ASPCApetinsurance.com/hyenas. That's ASPCApetinsurance.com/hyenas. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit ASPCApetinsurance.com/Amazon terms for more info.
This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. Cause you know me, I like rock hard cocks, RHCs, rock hard boners, RHBs, and Blue Chew, the sponsor of today's podcast. They're the ones that help me get my dick up big.
Yeah, Blue Chew is amazing. Most ED meds only focus on blood flow. Blue Chew Gold goes further by combining 2 ingredients for blood flow and 2 ingredients for mental arousal and connection. So you're not just physically ready, you're actually in the mood.
And this type of innovation is why Blue Chew Gold is the #1 in erectile function. I like it. And listen, dude, here's the thing. I'm a swallower, so that's why Blue Chew does good for me. Okay, I have crumpled it up and stuck it up my ass, and it still works, but I don't recommend it. I recommend you just taking it the regular way, okay? Because if you want to have a good time, then you need to have a rock hard cock, and you got to get Blue Chew going and flowing.
Yes, listen. Also, if you're in the closet and the ladies it's just not working because you're fantasizing about me, put a Blue Chew. Nothing helps you fake it more than a Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. And we've got a special deal for our listeners because I know a lot of you guys are having erectile dysfunction. A lot of you guys are in the closet.
Yeah.
Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the 3rd for free with promo code Hyenas. That's promo code Hyenas. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Well, I do, in my opinion, I think there's one loophole that billionaires take advantage of, but it's this thing, it's become this talking point, billionaires, because it's like, all right, so are we mad at, you ever notice nobody ever mentions LeBron James?
Sure.
Or they don't mention Oprah, or they don't mention Dr. Dre, or they don't mention Jay-Z and his wife, and the list goes on.
Right.
So it's really like this talking point of like white male billionaires.
Sure.
Because there's like, are you talking so AOC? Are you mad at LeBron? Why don't you
Right.
Why aren't you mad at LeBron?
Yeah.
LeBron's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Did he not earn that? So you're saying, but you can't earn $1 billion. Did LeBron not earn $1 billion?
Yeah.
How come you don't bring him up? How come it's always just Citadel or J.P. Morgan or whatever it is? So I think the loophole specifically, and my point is like, what about the guy who's making 30 million, 20 million, 5 million,
Yeah.
2 million? We don't live in this proletariat bourgeoisie kind of these neat little boxes of industrialists and workers anymore. It's a service-based economy, and there's a myriad of salaries, right? Or incomes or worths. The thing that billionaires do is they do this nifty little thing that their accountant helps them with. First of all, they write a tax code that benefits them.
Sure.
And so what they do is they'll take their worth and they throw it in stock.
Yeah.
And then they'll borrow against the stock so it's not taxable. So they don't pay the same rate everybody else does.
Right.
And they look at it and go, look at all the other stuff I do.
Right.
Which that part is true.
Right.
So they have a point there. But then also you're going, why don't we just fix that?
Right.
Why don't we just not allow you to do that anymore?
Right.
Because that's a little nifty loophole.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're putting their money in stock because you can't tax stock. But then people will go, oh, but when they sell it, they'll pay tax on that. But you're going,
Right.
yeah, it could go down. And also you're going, we don't need the money in 40 years, or when they never take it out because their kids keep borrowing against the wealth, and they're so just living off of borrowed wealth and they're not paying taxes, and it's a nice loophole. So if you just close that one fucking loophole, then all these mom dummies go away.
Go away. Yeah.
Right, Nick? That's all it takes. Yes. So me for fucking mayor.
Yes.
Me
Yes.
for mayor.
Yanni
Let's
for
close
mayor.
that one fucking loophole, and then everyone will shut the fuck up.
It's what it is.
Do you agree?
I do agree, and I also look. I also know that I'm not worth freaking $100 million, not even close. I know though that I went through, New York City school system. My mom barely, got by, worked hard, whatever. I don't have any silver spoons. I don't come from any family money, and it's like the information is out there for you to learn yourself how to, pay taxes, how to invest your money, but you're deciding to go out and buy Jordans you can't afford. That's just what you're deciding to do. So it's your fault.
Or on sneakers, or
clouds,
New
or New
Balances,
Balances,
or loafers, or Uggs,
Yeah,
or
honey, you're the one deciding to spend $8,000 on Knicks tickets.
Yeah.
you can watch the game from home.
Yeah, yes.
I just like if I don't get into the game, I watch the game from home.
Yes.
So my thing is
That is true, too.
Why I also look at the billionaires and they pay a lot of the taxes, the loopholes, whatever. But I say, what's that guy got to do with me? I got to figure it out for myself, guy.
Right.
But how come so many people don't want to just try to figure it out for themselves? We have all the information.
Right.
All you ever hear is AI this, AI that. Why don't you ask this fucking thing how to get out of squalor, you piece of shit?
We got two good examples.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I know exactly what you're saying.
How is it any other human's fault that you can't fucking figure it out?
You're actually making a strong point that
Yeah.
I can't. I'd say a big portion of it is that as well.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, we got two guys sitting right here. Both of them are kind of artists that don't make money.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And they figured it out, and they pivoted, and now we got two producers who are making some money.
And they figured it the fuck out.
What do you say now? Did you make money on a Shakespearean play?
I did not.
Yeah. Jesse makes a couple dollars selling sculptures, but it's not enough, right?
Right.
I got money. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because he put it in the stock market.
Oh yeah, Jesse does have money.
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, and so my thing is like
we have to. What I'm saying is we got to pivot.
Right.
You got to be dynamic. You got to figure it out. The new economy emerges. This is the new fucking entertainment business. If you're an artist, we need clippers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm just saying, it's like there's a lot of opportunity in podcasts.
My thing is just, you look online and people just complain. And I've always thought like, I know I'm not where I need to be. I know I, could be more successful. I have peers that make much more money than me.
Because you're doing very well.
No, but even when I was a physical therapist, making $40,000 a year, I was like, this is the career I chose. I'm trying to do it. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to make the money I thought, so I pivoted out. But it's like, I always thought, like, do I have something different about me? And the answer is no. I just am not complaining about my fellow human. I'm not blaming anything on my fellow human being getting something that I think I deserve. I don't know why I never did that. And to me, it's always just like a thing where I'm like, all I do is hear people complain about their lives and they blame it on everybody else but themselves. It's like, it's a very simple concept. It's your fault. When I fuck up in my life, I just know that it's my fault. I never blame it on anybody else.
Because it's a real easy way to get attention, and attention now is currency. So the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that is what has created a grievance culture, because it is actually monetized. You can monetize your grievance. You can have an enemy and scream at them and start a fight, or blame people, and you can get attention that way, and that attention turns into dollars.
Right.
When you blame something and you find an enemy, you turn it into dollars. And that's the economy right now, while we're in this limbo between the economy of the early 2000s and the one that's emerging, where it's going to be a little bumpy. Because what's happened is a lot of these people have invested $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 in an education that means absolutely diddly squat. A lot of those people would like to be sitting in Nick's seat right now. And that's just the economy.
That's what it is. And I'd like to go back to the early 2000s. I like that economy. Just what it is. No, I get it. No, but my thing is,
that's what it's called, that economy.
Buy, borrow, die. It's a legal tax strategy used by the ultra wealthy to preserve and transfer fortune. So how it works is you purchase highly appreciating non-liquid assets. You let them grow over time. You don't owe any taxes on the growth. I understand that, on the unrealized growth. You borrow. This is what Jesse taught me. This is what Jesse does.
Yeah.
Borrow. Then you use these appreciated assets as collateral to take out low interest loans, such as securities-based line of credit. Okay. The IRS does not tax the borrowed cash, giving you living expense without a taxable event. This is and then you die and you pass the assets onto your heir.
It's not cool.
It's not cool.
That's the one loophole they need to close, because they wrote the tax code like this so they could do this. Because basically, if Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk comes to the bank and says, give me this loan, are you going to say no? You know what he's worth.
Right.
You know your money's good, and you're making money on the interest.
Right.
So you're just going, And for them, it's basically free money, because they get a low interest loan because the risk is so low. Right. Because Elon Musk can pay it back. He owns fucking everything. And then this guy's basically living off of borrowed money. Right. That's essentially risk-free, and he's not paying taxes. So it's a loophole that they all benefit from. It's a little not fair.
Right.
It's a little not fair, and all you got to do is close this one loophole, and then what can people complain about? Because billionaires do pay an exorbitant amount of taxes. Not only do they do that, they create the economy. I'm not even going to say they help the economy. They create the economy, and they also create the ancillary and tertiary economy. Because if you open an Amazon thing in Long Island City, then the deli owners are eating. They've got more business, and the bus has more business. The city has more business. There's more jobs, and those jobs are taxed. There's more sales tax, and there's more money flowing into the city.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. Even the other day, I saw that Elon Musk, who sometimes his timetables are wrong. Sometimes he'll be like he said, we're going to have self-driving cars by like 2017. He was a few years off, but we do have self-driving cars. Then he wanted to land the rocket, the self-propelling rocket. He was a few years off, but he said, so he might be a few years off, but what is that?
These are nicotine toothpicks, but I had to empty them out so I could spit my Zin into it.
It's just what it is. So we
don't have a garbage can in this room.
Yeah, I know. Well, you want to throw it in that hutch in the bag?
Do you want to put all these nicotine toothpicks in your mouth so we have something to play for?
Yes.
Because this is probably about 300. Let's put that over.
Yeah, throw them in there.
This is about 300 milligrams of nicotine right here.
Yeah, it's just what it is.
I'd like to give these to Rain Man to count.
Yeah, it's just what it is. Yeah. So Elon Musk, though, just said the other day that he fully expects by the year 2030 there to be a colony of close to 100,000 people living on Mars. And so even if he's wrong about that, do you know the amount of jobs building a colony on Mars is going to create, it will single-handedly reverse any type of unemployment crisis we have.
You have
because the billionaire is, so you call him an asshole, Tesla, whatever. It's all you don't understand. He's the one giving you the fucking money.
No,
he's the one that's going to give you an opportunity. And guys like him.
I have to admit something, and it's just the truth of what I've observed. Because I have talked to a lot of younger, I'm curious, so I talk to the younger Mamdani people, or I talk to the younger people. Because listen, young people voted him in. Same thing in Seattle. You look at the polling numbers, it's under 30. The majority of them, he got voted in by people under 30 who are social media savvy. He's a social media candidate, Right. So I will say this, and I say this confidently, because I'm not a business person. I'm a comedian. I've had to learn business we all have.
We've learned the business of comedy, but I don't know how to run a store.
No, we have learned about these things, about investing and things like that as we've gone. So I know very little. But when you speak to these people, I have to admit, every single one that I've talked to, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
I'm just being honest. Like, they just don't understand. They don't understand, and they don't understand the numbers. You say things and they just aren't unaware of it. You go, New York City is already the most tax. They don't know these things.
Right.
They just go like, everything's too expensive, but they don't understand that everything has consequences. There's no absolute solution. They think if you just tax the billionaires another 2%, that these problems are going to go away. You look at Los Angeles, where they've done that, and they had a massive out-migration.
And now they're going to vote in a Republican mayor.
But it hasn't changed the inequality, and it hasn't changed they spend billions of dollars on homelessness. It's the worst it's ever been. Same thing in Seattle. Portland, it doesn't fucking work. These things have historically just a bad track record. The data does not look good. Those are just hard numbers. And you can keep, so then they come up with another excuse. It's almost like what communists do. They go, well, it was because we never had a pure form of it. It just keep moving the goalposts as they just won't. Nobody will admit that they're wrong.
Right.
Nobody will admit that it doesn't work.
If it doesn't work.
And
Spencer Pratt has my vote. Is he going to win the mayor?
I don't know.
Be the mayor?
I don't care about Los Angeles at all.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't care. I don't care who becomes. Yeah, when Tim starts talking to me about Los Angeles politics, I go, "You don't understand something. I'm a New Yorker. I'm concerned about New York.
Yeah,
I'm concerned about New York. I'm concerned about this country. I don't like Los Angeles.
Yeah,
I don't care who wins. I don't care if it's Karen Bass, Spencer Pratt, whatever. The truth is, it doesn't matter. We're just
trying to get Mamdani out.
The truth is that what just happened is there was an independent movie made by two YouTubers it's a horror movie that just is making more money than fucking Star Wars.
What's it called, Nick? Backrooms. Did you see it?
No.
Somebody just texted me said to go Google the trailer of it, but does it look good?
I don't know, dude, but it is. I mean, did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
It outperformed Star Wars.
This outperformed Star Wars.
So
they made the whole thing on YouTube?
They made it for a budget of what, $10 million? And they self-produced it. So this is the future. It's like the studios just don't. Now the numbers are coming in. We knew this already because we have friends.
Is that really a fact, though?
It's kind of all over the news.
But roughly 10. Okay, budget of 10 mil.
Yeah.
And it grossed over 118 mil globally. But Star Wars had to gross more than that.
It's beat Star Wars. It beats Star Wars.
For this weekend?
Yeah, it's beat Star Wars, but it's because they just came out, so they're still going to continue to make money.
Oh wait, there's a Star Wars movie out right now?
Yeah, you didn't even know it, and that's the point.
Huh?
Nobody likes it.
Oh yeah, so I don't even know that there was a Star Wars movie out.
Do you remember there was a time where you wouldn't know that there was a Star Wars movie out?
Wow.
You can't be the Native American who doesn't understand the ship.
Right.
The ships are here.
Yes, Star Wars did 81.5 million.
So it's just, and you know how much?
In its opening weekend.
Yes, and how much did Star Wars cost? What was the budget? You don't got to be a mathematician to understand.
Cost 160 mil to produce. Yeah. Theirs cost 10.
So there you go. So we had evidence of this in on a smaller level in comedy, right? Where you're going like, when like, for example, when Flagrant 2 started hitting 1 million, you just do the math and you're going like, all right, so how much of the sponsorship checks? Big. Their Patreon, big. Their touring numbers as a result of the visibility. One of them, you're like, wow, that really helped him.
Yeah.
And you go, these guys are making real money and it's just not viable. The amount of eyeballs they're getting are numbers that are comparable or better than most TV budgets, and those TV shows, and those TVs have exorbitant budgets. So you can do all the protests you want about Stephen Colbert and whatever, but if he can only draw $6 million on his finale with the biggest stars and everyone tuning in to support, the medium is just dead.
It's just
moved on.
Yeah. People go, it was a political hit job.
Just going, it's going away anyway.
And it's like, it might have been, but the numbers just don't make, you can't.
It's going away anyway.
The budget's too big.
It's too big. It's going away anyway.
Bad Friends, biggest podcast is hilarious. Our good friends, Danette Santino and Bobby Lee, and I saw they're just doing a game show because of the success of their podcast. They just produced the game show.
That's right.
They're not waiting for the Price is Right to call them. They're like, we'll just do our own thing.
No, they wouldn't do that because it would take forever. They'd lose money. They'd have to hire all these people. They use your own money. You can put it on YouTube. You get ad revenue. You can do it. You can sell it somewhere, have it go on YouTube and there. It's just, this is the era of you're your own studio, and it's going to continue that way. I mean, once you see a movie come out with Eddie Murphy that no one's even heard of, you go, it's over. I mean, that used to be the biggest news. Eddie Murphy's making a movie?
Right.
He's only made like 4 in like 40 years or something like that. Like Bowfinger, then he did like the Combs, and then like he disappears for a long time. And then he does one with Pete Davidson, and it bombs. Nobody even knows it's out. You're going like, oh, it's not their fault. It's just that the eyeballs are someplace else. And the mainstream is now online and with streamers and no longer with traditional studios.
And it's
just the way you got.
And the thing is the traditional studios seem like, I mean, some of the head honchos, Ted Sarandos, I'm sure knows this, but some of these executives have to know that their days are numbered with the job. There is no job opportunity.
That's right. Netflix is you got to remember, Netflix is like YouTube. It's a streamer.
Right.
So it's just a network. Netflix is doing great. Or who knows what their bottom line is, but their investors are, they've raised a lot of money. They're doing fine, but they're all streamers. It's a tech takeover. I mean, Amazon Prime is tech. Like Hollywood was in Los Angeles. It was TV. It was cable. It was a broadcasting studio way. It wasn't independent. It was a whole big cruise ship. Now it's like independent, boom, you get big, and then they give you money to be on their platform because you can be on many platforms. Nobody has the monopoly anymore of like 5 or 6 studios and 10 studios or 10 networks, 15 networks. They're owned by one. Viacom owns 15 of them. Those days are just over. It's a speedboat era.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's how it applies to Thomas Jefferson and states' rights.
No, because it does in a way because the economy changed.
I mean, cause Quince, is this our favorite product on the show?
I would say Quince is a part of my life.
Right.
It's just a part of my wife's life, my life. We're just ordering clothes. We're ordering household product.
I don't get anything from my house or from my body without checking Quince first. That's just what I do. I got my daughter's pajamas, matching pajamas. They're the best pajamas. They love these pajamas, and they were like $30 on Quince.
Yeah, there's no reason to feel like you can't shop at premier places because Quince gives you the premier clothes at a little bit of less of a cost.
Because summer always changes how I get dressed. I want pieces that feel lighter and more breathable, things that are easy but still put together. That's why I'm going to Quince, because I what I like to do, what I've been doing is I cycle out a few things and then I'll replace them, and I've been replacing them with Quince because I've just spent a lot of money on clothes, not anymore, and everyone's complimenting me on my shirts, my pants, and I'm saying it's from Quince, baby.
They got European linen pants and shirts, perfect for warm weather. Upgrade to add to your rotation starting at just $34. Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. There's no reason not to download this app.
Guy, and it goes beyond clothing. Custom upholstered sofas, ceramic cookware, premium bedding. It's the kind of brand you wind up recommending to everyone, and I can attest that is true.
Yeah.
Elevate your summer wardrobe. Go to quince.com/hyenas for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/hyenas for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/hyenas.
So it does in a way, because look, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they moved to Puerto Rico. Theo Vaughn moves to Tennessee. The biggest comedian in the country lives in Nashville, right? Joe Rogan, the biggest media comedian in the country, the most famous,
Moved
biggest.
from California.
He lives in Austin.
And the only reason they moved is because of states' rights, because of the income tax.
Taxes. You can say what you want.
They didn't move for any other reason, Tom Segura. It was taxes, states' rights, which is what Thomas Jefferson said would happen if you don't create this competitive advantage. So what these places needed to do, like New York, LA, whatever, is see the writing on the wall and lower their taxes.
They should have did the opposite. They needed to make it more. They got so they get cocky and confident, and they go, "We're New York, we're LA. Everyone wants to be here," which is very true. And they're going, you have to be here to make it. But now with the way the digital economy has changed it with remote working, especially after COVID, and how everything has become decentralized, you do not need to be in New York or Los Angeles to make it in entertainment or law or finance. Or there's plenty of people who work from home who live in the Carolinas but still have their job in New York. So it's sort of like the arrogance of New York and Los Angeles. They need to do something to attract people.
So what do you think they're going to, how do you get people to, is the only way lowering taxes?
It's always been that way.
But they'll never, have they ever once lowered tax? Jesse, have they ever lowered taxes in New York ever in your life?
All the time.
Like lowered for real?
Yeah, I think the tax rate was really high in the 70s. They brought it down. It fluctuates depending on who's.
But like big, like in a major way, like they'll never go to no state income tax here. They can't do that.
Probably not. It depends on who they elect. But yeah, it's.
And is that because we have so many people that live here? Like we need the programs, the Medicaid and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, demand in New York is always going to be high. So, but you see these other states that they compete. Right, because they want to have growth and build there, but New York has always relied on its infrastructure, its fame as a city. So if that goes away, but New York has been through many lives.
But the taxes in New York right now are the highest they've ever been in the history.
The highest in the country.
Right.
It's the highest in the country already before Mamdani came in.
Right.
I think it's the highest rate in the country.
Mamdani's just trying to make it higher.
And the most progressive, right? So it's like, yeah, if you're rich, you pay the highest amount of taxes to live here.
Right.
And the rich did that because New York is the shit.
Right.
Right? Like, so New York is like the Netflix of now or the NBC that it used to be.
Right.
But now you're seeing, I mean, we've lost billions of dollars of tax revenue.
The real issue is who's not coming, right? Like if this doesn't become a business-friendly city, who's not going to come? Who's not going to want to build their business here? Who's not going to want to have their corporate headquarters here?
Well, I worry about that just as the United States in general. I mean, you look at like how much war we're involved in and always whatever the wars with Israel, fine. But it's like, I saw this thing where a lot of these first world countries, little deals, they're making like little energy deals. Like Amsterdam will make a little energy deal with China. So these other countries will make little deals with China because they're looking at China being like, they're not warmongering country. They just build infrastructure and want to just, they just want to, be involved financially, where the United States, like, yeah, we'll give you money, but then also you're fighting wars with us. So I wonder, like, I worry a little bit about that, like my kids' lives, where I'm like, is the United States, is it going to be a thing where because if the rest of the world turns around, it's like, why are we going to keep messing with these guys? That could happen, and then you're really fucked.
But that's really,
and then who's going to buy my house?
That's just this administration. Once we get past this administration,
you think
things will change. Yeah, that's just Trump doing something that is ruffled a lot of feathers and shifted a lot of things now, but thankfully we have and maybe long-term historians will look back and say that was a necessary move because of the balance of power things, or it's just something that'll be another 3 more years or 2.5 more years. And that's the great thing about America. And then a new administration, it's up to the people. I mean, the people can vote in someone else and things can change course. We could continue to fucking pay for NATO and start doing, things can change.
And that's why, what have we been saying every week here, Nick, on this podcast? 2 words, Jesus saves. And who likes Jesus? J.D. Vance. He will save us.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, look, you vote. I mean, people like Mamdani, like he got elected. So you have to respect the people that elected him and go, hey, let's see how it works. Let's see how it goes. Maybe we're wrong. This is what the people want. Historically, you just look at the data objectively, it doesn't seem to work for cities well. It doesn't seem to fix the problems it claims it's going to fix, but maybe it will.
Right.
Who knows? We're going to see. Maybe it's called Zoran magic. Maybe it'll see. But the good thing is, and what we're talking about today, is that there's options. You're not locked in anything. The worst thing that can happen to anyone is stagnation.
Right.
That's why that's why communism doesn't work, because it's stagnant. It's centralized power. It doesn't move. You need competition. You need disagreement. You need movement. You need options. You need freedom.
You need flowing, baby. That's why I was going to buy a house in Massapequa, Long Island, and because it was by the water. And then the realtor said, "Listen, I want you to buy a house, but I just want to let you know, remind you that the water that you see out there, it's stagnant. So what does stagnant water bring? Mosquitoes.
Yes.
So you can." The reason why the house is not that expensive is because it's stagnant water.
Yeah.
He said you want to be by water that's moving, flowing water.
Like ocean
water.
Yeah, because,
or river water.
Yeah, the only thing that hurts mosquitoes is wind.
Is wind, right?
Wind, that's it. Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's why you learn this when you live out in the country, any little stagnant pool of water you have outside, if you got water, and it's even if it's in like a pot, right?
Yeah.
If you got a potted plant out there and the water builds up because it's an empty pot, even if it's a little water, that becomes a nest for mosquitoes.
Right.
So you always want to get rid of any standing water outside your house.
Well, that's why Jasmine always, I got to give it, she's smart because a lot of people, they always have the mosquito things, the candles, and she has all that stuff. But every time we're sitting outside, because she says she just learned it growing up at Sunset Park, she's always got 2 fans outside. If we're sitting down at the table, the fans are just blowing and your hair will blow away and it's a little uncomfortable, but you never get hit by a mosquito.
They can't land.
They just, because you think that force is too much for their little mosquito shit bodies.
Yeah, I mean, the fans are basically ice for mosquitoes.
It's what it is.
Keeps them out.
Keeps them out.
Keeps them out. So this has been, the founding of our country was based on, states' rights versus the federal government.
Yeah.
This is just, they wrote the Federalist Papers, and Thomas Jefferson was a kid. He even called Virginia his country. He just loved Virginia. So I think, look, in my opinion, I think they both make valid points. They both have vulnerabilities, but together, the balance of it kind of works.
It just kind of works, and that's why, I'll be talking about states' rights in Philadelphia, July 10th and 11th. Go to ChristyComedy.com for tickets. I'm going back to Philadelphia because
the founding of it all.
The founding of it all. I mean, because I got to be honest with you, I'm very excited because I got a few dates this summer, and every single one I could drive to.
Yeah.
Stamford, Connecticut, Philadelphia, Portland, Maine. I mean, we're just driving, baby. Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Right? It's just nice to be able to drive to.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on a plane anymore.
Very nice
to drive. Even I got a wedding this weekend in Martha's Vineyard. I'm going to drive.
It's very nice.
Why is SAG-AFTRA calling me?
Let's pick it up and see.
Good standing. Log in to make your payment at sagafter.com.
I'm not giving you any fucking money. No, you know what I think it is? I think my due, like the SAG-AFTRA dues, but my thing, why am I paying my what do you fucking do for me?
Do they give you health care for a discounted price?
Well, no, because I didn't make enough money specifically in SAG-AFTRA, so I pay for my own health insurance.
Get out of it, yeah.
I pay for my own health insurance.
That's the only reason to be in it.
Fucking scum. To remind you that the deadline to pay your May dues is quickly approaching.
Yeah.
Oh, but if I don't pay the dues, do I get kicked? Oh, so is my health insurance discounted through SAG-AFTRA even if I don't?
Should be. Yeah, you should have some sort of rate.
Yeah, but I didn't qualify for health insurance. Like I'm paying my own health insurance.
Then there's might as well go with Obamacare.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
All right,
what
guys.
do you do now? Obamacare?
Well, no, I have
SAG?
Anthem health insurance, and my card says SAG-AFTRA, but
SAG. So pay your dues and you continue that. Well, do the math. Did you do the math?
I didn't do the math. I didn't do the numbers.
Now you sound like a Mom Dami voter. Did you actually do the math?
Yeah, I did it. See, you're going to eat your words. All right, guys, I got to go get my foot looked at. The doctors think I have a little something on my Achilles called a Haglund's deformity, so we're going to find out.
Yeah, and tell us in the comments, are you a states' rights guy or are you an Alexander Hamilton guy?
All right, baby. As always, we encourage everyone to go to patreon.com/History Hyenas. Some of the most fun we have on this show is at the end of every episode where we read out the newest members of the matriarchy. The winner gets the PPW, the pseudo-penis of the week. If it gets into a tie, then we have a voting system at patreon.com/History Hyenas. The only way to really, really, really get a part of the show and have fun is get on that Patreon, baby. Okay, here we go. Eric Siemens. Then we got Yannis, a.k.a. Rocky from Project Hail Mary. Have you seen Project Hail Mary?
No.
The thing is, it's just it's an alien rock that can talk, and it doesn't have eyes. Yeah. Yeah.
Chicken figure.
All right, yeah. Steve, then we got Yanni, eye doctor, versus Chrissy's therapist. Who you got? Odell to Giants.
Oh, Odell Beckham Jr. is going back to the Giants.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick. All right.
Pretty sick. He's old and
he's old and we don't need him. And all the gay clubs are going to get more money pumped into that. I mean, he's just a gay kid. Mitchell. Then we got white man, black dad. Do I have the end pass? I still think no.
White mom.
white man, black dad. Do I have the N pass?
So he's a white man. So is it his real dad? Then you have the N pass.
That is a good point. Yeah.
You know, the only person to ask would be Hartenstein. He's no, because he would be the guy.
He's got a black dad?
He's got a very light-skinned black dad.
Interesting.
But he looks completely white.
But Hartenstein's a Jewish name.
It's more of a German name.
Right.
Because all those Jews were Germans.
That's what it is.
Yeah. There's really no Jewish names.
I kind of miss Hartenstein on the Knicks.
I kind of miss him on the Knicks too. But yeah, it's a weird, he's a black guy. He must really get like hang out with the guys and they're like, yeah these N-words. He's like, I'm one. J.L. Colvin was like that too.
Yeah, I remember.
His dad was Haitian, but he looks like a white kid.
All right. So, born to let it crust, forced to wipe. Disgusting.
I'm going to direct to that because it just means he's a lazy kid. He doesn't mind fumes.
Yeah, it's just what it is. Then we got KP, Danny, Jacob. Walked into one. Yeah. Yeah, it's just... You like it?
Yeah, you like it, but you can't.
Yeah.
You can't put it in lights. But
Yeah.
you know what? He's walked the end of the year. You're in contention for the end of the year because it's a good. That's a definition of a chicken finger, but it's an evil one.
It's just what it is.
But it's the definition of a short, quick boom.
Right. Okay. Then we got Leroy's in Paris.
Right. We've had that.
Then we got confirmed Ginger Squeak, aka Little Red Riding Hood.
Put him on the list.
Okay, there we go.
Put him on the list.
Yep.
Very good.
Okay. Then we got I'm against slavery, much as the next Leroy, but what did we do with all the Nicolas Cages? Okay, I don't get it.
He's a black kid trying to make a slavery joke. I don't get it.
Okay. Good effort, though.
Yeah.
Dylan James Darrow, OJ's 9-inch chef's knife. Okay. I mean, what do you think?
Put it on the list.
All right, fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny.
I guess it's kind of inventive.
Yeah, it's creative.
Then we got...
Imagine selling those on an infomercial.
Yeah. Then we got Elliot Page's Oscar acceptance speech for best prosthetics.
Put him on the list.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Put it on the list.
It's Guy. Then we got Mambo number $5 off, or I walk by Jubega.
He's going for something. I just don't know quite what it is.
Okay. Decapitating G.I. Joes in my fume garage.
Contender.
Yeah,
Contender,
okay.
yeah.
Fume garage is the asshole.
It's his asshole. He's putting the heads in the asshole.
Yeah, it's just what it is. Then we got Lincoln Sill. Then we got What's Your Boss's Job? Leroy Shrug beats me. Like
Leroy Shrug
beats me.
Oh, because he doesn't have it's a racist joke.
It's a racist joke. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew Ryan Smith. If the glue fits. Then we got
It's just if the glue fits.
If the glue fits.
That's it. That's a setup without a punch, my guy.
If the glue fits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of if the shoe fits.
Yeah, he's saying if the glue fits, like something with his
you
glue.
need like a must have quit or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we got I bukakied on my shroud and now it's radioactive.
Okay.
Okay. Austin Collin, Eric, not a grower or a shower. Yeah.
Chicken finger.
Yeah,
Good one.
What it is.
Good one. Yeah.
Then we got female frisbee. Call her a wigger. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Got Ebola through my hemi hole.
I don't get it.
Lou Sassol. Justin Angako at justinangako.com.
Screwed in.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Jam 55. Ryan Bure. Mike Skrgesha. Jeff. Lean Ladder 14. Ween. Cuisine Queen.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm a Drexler it.
Zion Hardeen. Rue Monkey. Glue Funky. I Illuma Yanni.
Illuma Yanni's a good one.
It's not a bad one.
Chicken finger.
Andrew. Mistook pink for stink and now I'm homeless.
Okay.
Ajax Gallagher. Zoran Longdongi.
Okay.
Bergen Wallestrand, Jared Mitchell, Sam Deemers, Mr. Goldfish, Nick DiNapoli. My Puerto Rican husband's glue gun makes my lips speak in Espanol.
¿Qué pasa, mi gente?
Elliot Page's chest looks like the Gaza Strip.
Ladder 14.
On the list.
Yeah, it's
On the list.
blown out, right? Yeah.
Just on the list.
Yeah.
It's a walked into it, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Flattened is what they're saying.
Yeah, it's just what it is. Yeah. Yaya's Cookies. Then we got Captain One-Eyed Chrissy, a.k.a. this skin text thing. Then we got Then we got Mujer and the Fuhrer, a.k.a. Jazzy and Chrissy Big. Stephanie Garlic, not Gaga. Wei Shan Xian, the list for PPW. Okay. If it's not tight enough, you can stick it in my neck.
That's weird.
Get it? Okay. 2026 Festival of...
Hey,
fuck
one.
that.
Yeah,
Thought you were
Jesus
talking about
Christ.
music.
Boy.
It's what it is.
Sometimes it's funny because the eyes go first and the brain catches it.
And they spelled it J-A-Z-Z.
Oh, so
it's
they
really,
got you good.
Yeah, it's just jazz.
Oh,
I thought
they
it was
got-
festival. I thought it was music.
They were intentionally trying to get you.
Yeah, that's what it is. Then we got Yanni gets both eyes on the brown eye.
Okay.
The guy who cleaned up Pee Wee Herman's jizz tongue.
Drexler. It's a fun job. Somebody actually did that.
Yeah. Mexican bug chaser. Call me a frijole.
Okay.
Frijole. Okay. Richard. Chrissy Ulysses versus the feet sniffing Cyclops.
Drexler.
Stefan. Johnny Maracas. Nate Perkis. WWE's newest trans star. Dwayne No Cock Johnson.
Okay.
Jerking off, thumb up my ass. I call it going abselling. What? Jerking off, thumb up my ass. I call it going abselling. Abselling.
We like to
Ceiling?
call that as he went for something.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Arturo Vargas. Presenting my ass to a face hugger because I got that interracial tingle.
Face hugger. What's a
I don't know what that is.
Nick.
Schmitty. Dr. Nick.
Schmitty. Chicken finger. for
Schmitty. Then we got Yanni Magnetized, set off the North Salem witch hazel trials.
Okay.
Can I get a Cosby water for my daughter? Ew. Then we
That's really what
it's a
the
weird
fuck are
one.
we talking
yeah,
about
what are you
there?
trying to fucking?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Then we got Mrs. Met's OnlyFans manager. Mrs. Met's OnlyFan manager. Does she have an OnlyFans?
He's trying to make.
That'd be nice if he did.
Yeah.
Too Cocky Bukaki, James Hart, Swag Daddy, Chrissy Flip Flop, and Yanni Tootsie Slurp. Doozer, Fancy Bastard, Shit Reynolds, Anthony Williams, Yanni the Poop Slurp Perp, Ryan Arnold, Babe, I promise it's not fumes. I just shit a little when it goes pewing.
We're gonna put that on the list.
All right. Wow. Okay.
We're gonna
There we
put that
go.
on the list. It's a little
Yeah.
funny. He gets a little excited. He poops himself a little bit.
It happens.
Yeah.
Then we got Juan Gotti from Knickerbocker Ave, Griffin Lawson, Maverick Canagard, Kris Jenner's sex toilet. I'm a grown man. I'll piss the bed if I want to.
Put him on the list.
There it is.
I like that.
Yeah. And it is a good point.
It's what you say to your wife when you wake up and she's like, you got a drinking problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of looks maxing, Yanni is eye maxing.
Okay.
Just want to give you boys a shout out to Chrissy. Looks like he eats bratwurst, and Uncle Jesse with an extra 21st.
What does that mean, extra 21st?
Like you have an extra chromosome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so I'm
Special needs
special needs.
Stamos.
Yeah. Drexler just for that.
Yeah. Then we got Mike Obama's pseudo piece is bigger than mine.
Chicken fing.
Then we got Ryan Gosling from the film Drive, but with Down syndrome.
Okay.
Interesting. Glue Man Group, we've had. Brian LaMonica. The great thing about cantaloupe is that it can't get pregnant.
List it.
Yeah.
Contender.
Wait some
That's what it is.
Yeah, contender.
Yeah. Feet Eater Peter.
Feet Eater Peter gets a chicken finger.
Yeah. Then we got Chrissy's grandpa died at Auschwitz. He fell out of a tower. Right? That's like an old school street joke.
I don't get it.
Like saying that my grandfather died at Auschwitz. He fell out of a tower. He was a Nazi guard.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
But that's an old street joke.
Yeah. Got it.
N-word scissor hands. I feel like we've had that.
Yeah.
Jimmy, at least half a tard canard.
Chicken finger.
I'm Bobby Mom. That's a bad friends joke. SGT Glue Gun Thompson, a.k.a. Leroy Frisbee the Reich. Kai. Jesus and the Lady Brain Boys fix my leaky roof.
Yeah.
Aunt Tutty shot my dad. I told you come in me. Okay.
It's decent.
Yeah. He spaced it all out.
Yeah, it's a chicken finger.
Anthony Prairie. Yanni, it's Poppins Cherries. Big bitch against GLP first. Call her Jesse's next masterpiece.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
He paints fat people.
Yeah. Half Jew, half robot. Call me a cyborg. I'll tax you physically.
I like that.
Cyborg.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the list.
All right,
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, that's the list. It's borderline. It's not going to win, but
But it
deserves to be honored. Yeah.
Corbin Porter. Bobby the Throat Goat, Kennedy's Angry Voice Box, and then Call Me Israel the way I'm trying to Benjamin Nuttin on you, which we've had that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's the list. Again, you think that it's going to be easy.
I got to say, generally kind of on the weaker side.
On the weaker side for lists, but there are a lot of people we've had worse.
Yeah.
This is a middle of the road.
And also, I've said that, and then I've heard them, and I've been like, actually, I was wrong.
Okay, so here we go. Starting off, we got Confirmed Ginger Squeak, a.k.a. Little Red Riding Hood.
Drexler.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
Then we got OJ's 9-inch chef's knife.
We're going to chicken finger that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we got Elliot Page's Oscar acceptance speech for best prosthetics.
We're going to Drexler it.
Just because, we have a better Elliot Page.
Yeah, I think,
Then we got Decapitating G.I. Joes in My Fume Garage.
That's a contender.
That's staying on. Then we have Elliot Page's chest looks like the Gaza Strip.
That's a contender.
staying on. Yeah. And then we have Babe, I Promise It's Not Fumes. I just shit a little when it goes pewing.
We're going to Drexler that.
Okay, so we'll Drexler that.
Yeah.
And then we got I'm a Grown Man. I'll piss the bed if I want to.
We're going to Drexler that.
Then we got the great thing about cantaloupe is that it can't get pregnant.
We're going to keep that around.
It's just what it is.
It's better than I thought.
Then we got half Jew, half robot. Call me a cyborg. I'll tax you physically.
That is very good. Also show specific because take it physically. I got to keep it around, bro, just because of the fandom with the originality.
All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 contenders.
I was wrong. It's better than I thought.
So the contenders are Decapitating G.I. Joes in My Fume Garage. Elliot Page's chest looks like the Gaza Strip. The great thing about cantaloupe is that it can't get pregnant. Or half Jew, half robot. Call me a cyborg. I'll tax you physically.
I'll tax you physically. Okay, tough one. We're gonna narrow it down though. I love the Decapitating G.I. Joes.
Right.
This is the definition of a Drexler. It would win any other time, I believe. Also, I wish. Fume Garage is good, but we've had a lot of Fume Garage. Somebody else came up with that.
Yes.
So if he would have just said in my ass or something, it would have been a little. But I'm gonna have to Drexler it.
That's out.
But I hate to do it.
Elliot Page's chest looks like the Gaza Strip.
We got to keep that around.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, we got to keep that around.
The great thing about cantaloupe is that it can't get pregnant.
That one's I can't. It's just hard to say that I'm gonna have to Drexler that because it's just
what it is.
Good. Yeah, it's tough. Oh, Jesse likes that.
I like that.
Should I keep it around? Nick? Whoa, they want to keep. I'm getting outvoted. How about you?
I'll say keep it around just to have because I think half Jew, half robot. Call me a cyborg should go.
Okay, so let's Drexler that.
So then I'll say then it's between the great thing about cantaloupe is that it can't get pregnant, or Elliot Page's chest looks like the Gaza Strip.
We got two winners here. This is what's hard to do.
Do we put it to a vote or do we pick it in here?
We made them vote last time. I think we got to do the hard work. We're going to take it from a democracy and make it a republic.
It's just what it is.
Because, the people don't know how to act.
Yeah.
Because you know what's funny is we take it to a vote and then they complain.
Right.
They complain and say, oh, you guys, one complaint goes, oh, you guys are getting lazy. You're not even picking winners. We're trying to involve you. They have a complaint one way or the other.
One way or another.
Other people saying they love to vote. I don't know what you people fucking want.
Yeah.
But you know what? It just makes me want to take a G.I. Joe and decapitate it in my ass.
Which I might do. So it's between Elliot Page's chest looks like the Gaza Strip, or the great thing about cantaloupe is that it can't get pregnant.
Two all-stars. We got to vote.
So for me, Elliot Page's chest looks like the Gaza Strip because it's flattened. It's funny. And the cantaloupe thing is funny too, but I would go with Elliot Page, but I'm a big Elliot Page fan.
Yeah. The thing is, I think what we're going to do is we're going to enjoy that joke, but it's one of those that, we just can't put up in lights. We just can't put it up in lights, unfortunately.
So we'll say maybe that's the winner. That's the private winner, but the public winner is the great thing about cantaloupe is that it can't get pregnant.
That's right. It's sort of like the deep state, right? You have one guy who's elected and he's the de facto president, but then you got the real people who have the power. We all know that Elliot Page is the winner. We just can't put it up in lights.
So congratulations. Go to historyhyenas.com to see your name up in lights. The winner is the great thing about cantaloupe is that it can't get pregnant.
Which is also equally as good for different reasons.
And it's amazing. And guys, go home after this episode and have sex with a cantaloupe.